For many Utah students, we're less than a week away from the start of the school year. And for the Granite School District, their first day is Monday. So with the rise of the Delta variant and growing COVID cases with kids, the upcoming school year is posing some new challenges for Granite as well as districts across the state. So how are they making sure kids have a safe back to school? Joining me to explain what Granite is doing is Ben Horsley, Director of Communications and the Community Outreach for the Granite School District. Ben, thanks for being with us here today.
Glad to be here.
You ready for the school year?
Sure. We're about ready for anything. I think it's one of those things that with the last school year we had to deal with so many circumstances and challenges that we were prepared for just about any circumstance that would come this fall.
Yeah, it just feels like it's been a really tricky situation as the last year and of course leading into this year.
Very much so. I think things kind of smoothed out, but obviously with increases in the variants and some of the politics going into some of the decision making, it's been a little bit unusual and not what we generally expected, but we feel confident we're going to be ready for the school year.
So what are you doing to get ready and be prepared for those kids coming back to class?
I think the key thing is preparing for the instruction and making sure that we're doing everything we can on our end to make things safe for kids to be in schools. We're following all the health department guidance and recommendations that we've received thus far. There's obviously some confusion over whether masks will be required or not. We are all eagerly awaiting today's meeting with Salt Lake County Council to see what the outcome of that will be.
So how does that shake out as far as the school? I mean, we're waiting on that decision, but kind of for letting everyone at home know, how is that going to work? I mean, are you making the call? Is the county council making the call? Because we're trying to follow it too day to day.
Sure. At this point in time, that would be a health order. If it's repealed by the county council, it would just be a recommendation. At that point in time, we've already been highly recommending mask use within all of our schools, both for employees, especially for those who are going to be around those who have not had the opportunity to be vaccinated. So within our school ranks and our employees themselves, a high rate of vaccination and participation in the spring vaccination clinics. So again, if we're highly recommending masks for our employees already, obviously the outcome of today's decision is eagerly awaited.
And you mentioned that a lot of the employees got the vaccine. Do you know any idea how many staff or teachers have got the shot?
It's for our teachers, it's a little higher. We don't actually have a formal record. We don't do that kind of record keeping. We're not a healthcare agency, but just based on the participation rates that we saw, I would say it's north of 90% of our teachers are vaccinated.
That's a pretty high number.
It's impressive, and if you look at our overall employee numbers, it's almost 70%, but that was last spring. Obviously, there's been a number of people who've had opportunity to be vaccinated since then, and that's why we think that number is much higher.
So what do you do if you have an outbreak of COVID-19 at any of the schools?
Well, we have those protocols in place, and a lot of those protocols were actually piloted right here in Granite School District. The first test to stay protocol that was successful was at Kearns High School, so we anticipate being able to test as many individuals as families will permit, and those who obviously come down with COVID would be asked to stay home at that point in time, and then we can proceed with school. So Granite and the state of Utah have actually been on the forefront of a lot of these ways to stay safe and participate in instruction in person across the entire United States. We participated with CDC in helping other school districts come online this last year and this last spring in particular. So we feel fairly comfortable no matter what comes our way. We've already been through the worst of that, and we can be prepared to address any challenges that come in the next few months.
Well, that's encouraging. And of course, if you want to follow what the Granite School District is doing, we have a link to their website at abc4.com/GMU. Talking this morning with their Director of Communications, Ben Horsley with the Granite School District. Ben, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks for having me.